Hello, my name is Craig Ashpa and I am a technical marketing engineer with Cisco's Server Access and Virtualization Group. This video is part of a series that is intended to show some of the unique advantages made possible by Cisco's server offering called Unified Computing System, or UCS for short. This video will show the viewer the details of implementing pod-based storage with full zoning on UCS. Before we begin the technical demonstration of local zoning within UCS, I'd like to briefly discuss the advantages of this newly introduced technology into the UCS feature set. First, UCS local zoning eliminates the need for an upstream switch, such as an XS5000 or MDS, which was previously required for zoning host to storage. The advantages of this include lower overall costs since less equipment is needed, lower complexity as zoning is local to UCS rather than a separate upstream device. The system is self-contained as everything needed for zoning storage is local, making this solution well suited for smaller UCS deployments, branch offices, and purpose-built UCS pods. Second, UCS local zoning and the corresponding UCS Direct Connect storage features supports both fiber channel and fiber channel over Ethernet connectivity, providing the advantage of flexible direct connect topologies. And last, the advantages of the local zoning features themselves, which we'll be reviewing in this video, including the ease of configuration, storage connection policies, single initiator, single target zoning, and single initiator, multiple target zoning, and the ability to view local zoning configurations both in the UCSM GUI and directly on the Fabric interconnects via the CLI. Configuring local zoning on UCS is a fairly easy process. However, there are a few prerequisites which need to be taken care of first before local zoning can be configured. Those include making sure that the Fabric interconnects are in the correct fiber channel switching mode, creating the local vSANs, and configuring the direct connect storage ports for the fiber channel or fiber channel over Ethernet storage, which will be utilized within the local zones. So let's confirm that all the prerequisites are set up before we get into local zoning. The first thing I'm going to confirm is that to make sure that the Fabric interconnects are set to FC switching mode, which is a requirement for local zoning. I'm going to click on the SAN tab, click on SAN in the navigation tree. In the main window, I'm going to click on the SAN Uplinks Manager, and I'll see that the uplink mode is set to switch, which is correct. Now I'm going to check to make sure that the vSANs, local vSANs, have been created. I'm going to expand Storage Cloud, Fabric A, vSANs. You'll see the vSAN that I created prior, called vSAN Local Zoning A. I'm going to click on that, and you'll see here the FC zoning is set to enabled, which is a requirement for local zoning. I'll go ahead and just really quickly check out, make sure the Fabric B is set up as well. You'll see that it is, and it's also set to enabled for FC zoning. Now I need to make sure that the storage ports where I have my storage connected are set up as FC storage ports because I'm connected to fiber channel storage, and to make sure that those ports are set to the correct vSAN. So as you can see here under Fabric Interconnect B, Fire & Shell port 32, it's set up as a FC storage port. It's enabled and it's set to the local zoning B 201, the vSAN which I showed you prior. I also have port 31 configured, and then on A I have the same ports, 32 and 31. So all the prerequisites are set so that we can begin our local zoning tasks. Now that we've confirmed our prerequisites are all set, let's go ahead and demonstrate the local zoning feature. I'm going to go over to the Server tab up here. Go to Root, right-click it, and create a service profile using the Expert mode. I'm going to create a name for this service profile called Local Zoning Demo. Okay, click Next. I'll take the defaults for the networking. For the storage, I'm going to go ahead and click Expert here. Create two HBAs. First one I'm going to call FC0. Fabric ID A. I'm going to set the vSAN to the local zoning A. Click OK. I'm going to click this, create a second one called FC1. This VHBA will be going to Fabric ID B. It will be assigned to local zoning B vSAN. Here I'll click OK. Now both my VHBAs, VHBA 0 and VHBA 1, have been created. I'm going to click Next to get to the zoning page. The zoning page is where we'll go ahead and configure the local zones. So over here on the left-hand side, under the Select VHBA Initiators, you'll see the two VHBAs we just created, FC0 and FC1. On the right-hand side, you'll see the VHBA initiated groups, which are equivalent to zones. Let's go ahead and create a container in here. Click the Add button. We're going to go ahead and create a name for this VHBA initiated group. Let's call this Local Zone 1A. And then the storage connection policy is where you go ahead and add the target endpoints of the storage system. There are a couple of ways to do this. You go ahead and create a new storage connection policy by clicking this button, where I would add the name, I would choose a zoning type, whether it's single initiator, single target, or single initiator, multiple targets, and then add the FC target endpoints by clicking the plus button, adding those here. Once I configure that storage connection policy, I could save it and then use it for future service profiles. Another option is that I could use a storage connection policy, which I've already created. And last, and what we're going to use for this demo, is the specific storage connection policy, which will allow us to create a specific storage connection policy for this service profile only. I'm going to choose the default of single initiator, single target. Now you have to go ahead and add those fiber channel target endpoints to the VHBA initiated group. I'm going to click the plus sign here, and I'll be presented with a window to add the FC target endpoint of that storage system. So I'm going to paste the first WWPN in there. It's going to go through Fabric A. I'm going to assign this to the vSAN local zoning A vSAN, which I created prior. And I'm going to click OK. I'm going to add a second fiber channel endpoint to this as well, since this is a EMC VNX, which has a service processor A and B. This is the B WWPN. This is still going to be going through the Fabric A. I'm going to assign this to vSAN local zoning A as well, and click OK. And now you see within the VHBA initiated group, I have the name Local Zone 1A. I'm using a specific storage connection policy. This is going to be using the single initiator, single target zoning type. And you have my two fiber channel target endpoint WWPNs right here. I'll go down here and click OK. And now you see in the Select VHBA Initiated Group section, my Local Zone 1A, which I just created. Now what I want to do is I want to add the VHBA into the VHBA Initiated Group. So I'm going to highlight the VHBA FC0. I'm going to highlight the Initiated Group, and then the Add To button becomes active. I'm going to click that, and now what happens is the VHBA 0 gets added to the VHBA initiated group. So now, once I click the next button, or the finish button, the VHBA 0 will be zoned to those WWPN FC target endpoints, which I included prior into the VHBA initiated group, Local Zone 1A. So for the sake of time, I went ahead and created the Local Zone 1B VHBA initiated group over here and added the FC1 VHBA initiator to it. So now that both of our zoning for the local zoning has been created, I'm going to go ahead and finish up the service profile by clicking Next. I'm going to go through these other ones fairly quickly. I'm going to click Next here. Server boot order is where I go ahead and create my boot policy. Click Next. Maintenance policy. Next. Server assignment. I need to assign a server to the service profile, because if I don't, then the zones don't become active. The zones only become active within the switch once a service profile is actually associated with a server. So I'm going to click Next, and I'm going to click Finish. So now that we've created our local zoning, we've associated the service profile to a blade, let's go ahead and take a look at that service profile to see how the local zoning looks. On the Server tab, under Root, I'm going to go down to the local zoning demo service profile, which we created. I'm going to go to the Storage tab. First thing I'll see under the VHBAs tab is the VHBAs which we created, the FC0 and FC1. Under the VHBA initiated groups, I'll see the two initiated groups which we created, Local Zone 1A and Local Zone 1B. If I go over here to the FC Zones tab. Here you'll see the completed VHPA initiator groups along with their VHPA initiators and target WWPNs for each VHPA initiator group which we created. 2 on Fabric A and 2 on Fabric B. To view the local zoning from the CLI, I've created a PuTTY session here going to my FIA. From here I'm going to connect to NXOS. And I can do a show zone active. And here you'll see listed out the zones, the 2 zones on the FIA which I created within the GUI. And you'll see here the zone name, the WWPN of the VHPA, and the WWPN of the target endpoint. To recap, zoning storage can be a challenge in many environments, and UCS local zoning simplifies the zoning process by providing streamlined local zoning features, reducing the overall equipment footprint, and providing comprehensive local zoning information via both GUI and CLI. This ends this UCS Advantage video, where we show how unique capabilities in the Cisco UCS can lead to simplified deployment models with much faster service turnaround to meet the increasing demands of the business. Please go to www.cisco.com/go/UCS for printed collateral, including a brochure that highlights the information shown in this video. Thank you.